Melissa will apply.
Welcome, everybody, to the August 20th, 2024 Police Commission meeting. We call this meeting to order, and we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask Commissioner Scher to lead us.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd just like to take one moment to recognize an officer that was in the FBI Academy that last week unfortunately passed away due to a battle with thyroid cancer. He was from Rentham, Mass. He's deputy chief. He's 44 years old, had a family with 4 kids. Let's take a moment of silence to recognize his passing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And with that, we have acceptance of the minutes, and I will take a motion on that.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to suspend the agenda and move item number 1, the swearing-in ceremony, up to the present.
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Police on board first. Oh, yeah. Welcome, everybody. Tonight, we're going to recognize our 3 newest police officers, Michael Ellis, Matthew Leppo, and Miranda Gradney. If the 3 of you want to come stand up here. I'm going to read each one of their individual bios, and then we'll swear the 3 of them in. Michael Ellis, Michael, step forward real quick, is a New Hampshire native born in Manchester. He's a certified New Hampshire police officer, having graduated in the top 10 of his 187th full-time police academy. He spent a year and a half with the Wilton Police Department and worked at Somersworth Police Department prior to joining our team. Michael is also a certified firefighter and EMT. Step back. Matthew Lippo is from Massachusetts native. He's a certified officer who previously worked for the Belmont, Mass. Police Department for a year and a half. Prior to becoming an officer, Matthew served in the U.S. Army in El Paso, Texas for 3 years and received his bachelor's degree in criminal justice from the University of Massachusetts. Step back. Miranda Gradney comes to us from Windsor, California. She's a certified police officer who previously worked for the city of Rohnert Park in California for a year. She has a BA in criminal justice and associate's degree in administrative justice. Miranda, Matthew, and Michael all began their career with the Portsmouth Police Department yesterday and will enter a 16-week field training program. We're honored to add them to our team. Now, if you guys raise your right hands and repeat after me. I state your names. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent on me as a police officer, constable, and night watchman of said city of Portsmouth, according to the best of my ability, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Constitution, laws of the state of New Hampshire, and the rules and regulations of the city of Portsmouth. So help me God. I'll read this, you don't have to repeat after me. By virtue of the authority vested in me, you can put your hands down. Through the Police Commission and RSA 105-C, trusting in your integrity and fidelity, do hereby constitute and appoint you a police officer, constable, and night watchman of said city of Portsmouth, with all the power and authority and subject to all the duties and liabilities provided by law. Congratulations. You guys have people that are going to pin you They want to put your badge on, or you want me to do it? All right, actually, you guys have your uniforms on, so I will just hand you your badge. Just get a quick picture. There's our front top. One more announcement before everybody leaves. Once we get back up here. This one, I'll talk about our kids, You have our award, Jackie? I brought it. Okay. Well, you can make it. You can do it. All right. Don't screw it up. Mike will give the details.
Sure. We are pleased to announce this very prestigious award given to Portsmouth Police Department. This is New England Association of Chiefs of Police Community Policing Award for 2023, and this is first place. This award is for communities all across New England, and it's a pretty significant honor that Portsmouth received this award, and it's really a credit to everyone here, friends and families too, that help contribute to the officers that are, and the entire department that works so hard to make our community as wonderful as it is. This award, and I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Maloney to talk a little more about it.
Sure, thanks, Commissioner. So, again, as noted, this is an award that was open to any police department in New England, and there were 4 different categories: for a community under 15,000, a community between 15 and 30,000, a community between 30,000 and 50,000, and a community over 50,000. We fit into the 15 to 30,000 category as overnight residents, and we won in that division, if you will. So it was quite a lengthy application process. All told, by the time I'd submitted, it was probably 17 pages long, including letters of reference and a very detailed application narrative explaining why we think the Portsmouth Police Department should win this award. And we did as an example of our community policing efforts. For those of you that were here in 2023, we had a case that rattled our community in that we had 17 different businesses and some private residences that were vandalized during a crime spree with anti-Semitic and racist graffiti targeting some of our minority groups, religious institutions, etc. It was a very highly publicized criminal act that gained a lot of attention. There was a lot of pressure on the police department to find the person who was responsible. And we did that in large part due to the efforts by Detective Sergeant Kevin McCarthy, his team of detectives, and from the patrol officers that took the initial reports. We were able to, over a period of weeks and months, using the community as a tool, using our resources, both state, local, and federal, and using, quite frankly, incredible investigative techniques, able to identify a suspect and charge them. They were both charged federally and with state crimes as well. And it really showed the partnership that we have with the community, because the community was expecting us to solve this. And, you know, as police officers, we're the people that bring people to justice, and the community has to rely on us to do that. And we worked in partnership with the community through canvassing in neighborhoods, through cell phone video, through surveillance video, having the community report these instances to us, throughout the entire investigation. And it kind of really showed that we rely on the community for the community's help and support, and that the community relies on us to hold people accountable, which we did. And, I'm proud to say, based on the work, I had the easy job. I just had to summarize all the work that the agency did. I'm proud to say when the chief walked in a couple weeks ago saying that we won the award, it was certainly a proud moment to be part of this team. And it's certainly no easy award to achieve. There's a lot of competition for it, and I'm humbled to be part of an organization that wins an award like this. So I think it truly represents the community policing aspect of the Portsmouth Police Department and the relationships that we've built and the expectations that the community has of us. And I think it's everybody who had a hand in it and everybody who works here should be proud of this one.
And if I could just add to that, I'd like to thank Deputy Maloney. He's the one who compiled all that information. As he said, it was a 17-page report that he submitted to the application. And when I first found out about this award at Chiefs Conference and brought it back to our staff and talked about some of the different things that have happened in Portsmouth and what we could probably bring forward to push this case forward, there was a lot of, well, that's a pretty complicated application. I don't know if we got anything that could do that. And when I gave Mike an idea of let's look at our hate crimes that we had, and he delved into it and compiled all the reports, I think he then realized that we met the criteria that they were going to looking for, and he actually kept coming to me and asking, "Hey, have you heard anything about that reward? Have you heard anything on that reward?" Because they said they were going to be notifying people and coming in and conducting interviews. Well, the award just arrived one day, and I told them the next day that I guess we didn't need an interview because we won. So he did a phenomenal job. Our officers, again, did phenomenal jobs. And most importantly, this is a collaboration between us and our community. Our community stepped up. They're vigilant. They feel comfortable with us. They report things to us because our department can only be as strong as the community around us. And we take pride in that and want to protect and serve our community. So again, it's an overall award for everybody in our community and our department. So, thank you. Now you guys can leave if you want. The rest of the meeting will be boring.
Yeah, I would just add to that. You hear a lot in the media around the country about community policing, and it's a nice PR phrase that police departments can use and towns can use. But what's so special about the Portsmouth Police Department is they actually live it. It is who the Portsmouth Police Department is. It's not just a PR phrase to be trotted out at budget time. And it's a great credit to the department, everybody in the department.
And, do you have anything to add, Commissioner?
Congratulations. It's
I think
fabulous.
it is fabulous, and I think in the time that at least Commissioner Scher and I have served on this police commission together, we've seen a number of hate crime incidents come forward, and every single time we've seen the police department work tirelessly and collaboratively with the community to solve the crimes, to make sure that we shut down hate crime in our community. And I thank you, Deputy Chief, for your putting the application forward so we can highlight the outstanding work done by the police department for our community. So thanks.
And I also just wanted to add publicly, part of the application was a letter of references from 3 organizations in the community that we regularly associate with, and the Citywide Neighborhood Committee, our friends at Temple Israel, and the Senior Activity Center were instrumental in writing letters of reference for the application. So I just wanted to take a moment and thank them for their support in this as well.
Thank you. And with that, the meeting will continue, but I'm guessing that we have a big audience right now that may not want to stay for the rest of the meeting. So we'll take a
If you want to
brief
give a
recess.
couple of minutes to take pictures.
Yeah, if we'll take a brief recess if people want to take pictures, family pictures for anyone sworn in. So.
unless they didn't have their uniform.
All right, well, we're back. We won't take any offense that the room has been vacated and we don't have anyone here for public comment, which is next on the agenda. So we will move on, since I see no one in the audience, and to new business. And first, it's the Police Commission and facilities update. Chief, do you want to talk a little bit about the restoration project?
So again, as far as the restoration goes, we've kind of just continued with managing our current building. With all the humidity that we've had some issues with humidity, but we have plenty of dehumidifiers going around the building, and a lot of the rain that we had spun a couple of leaks lately, but they've been repaired, and we're just plugging along and moving towards hopefully our new facility.
Excellent. And that leads to sort of the community policing facility planning group. And last week we had a meeting, the working group met. We have some new designs that are going to be presented to the City Council in September. It's very exciting. Essentially, listen to the council, listen to the concerns about some of the sight lines, and we are excited for that meeting in September to do a presentation with those new designs. It's an important opportunity to remind everyone who in the community that I know the newspaper has posted or put some drawings out, and that was from the old designs. But again, a reminder that those drawings are not anything what the facade or the building is actually going to look like. These are just massing exercises to get some scaling. And but really, we're looking forward to September, because I think we have made a lot of progress and have some really good plans to put forward. So, moving on to community priorities. It sounds like we have a couple exciting things on the horizon, specifically with respect to the CAD RMS system and body-worn cameras. Does anybody, do the commissioners want to speak to it? Either of these things? No? Okay. So with respect to the implementation of CAD RMS, Deputy Chief, do you want to speak to that a bit, about the timing of implementation?
Sure. So we're in the home stretch here, coming into our training for the entire department in September. Essentially, the entire month of September will be in-house training here at the police department. Our IT department is setting up the training room into workstations, and all staff of the PD will be getting trained for several weeks. Not everybody's getting several weeks of training, but to accommodate everybody's schedule and to get everybody the information that they need to use the new software. It's going to take a number of weeks, and we're still tracking on a go-live date for the new software being October 8th. So we're getting very close to implementation.
And that's really exciting. I mean, both for use for the PD, but also, as we talked about, when we talk about the resident advocacy group and the efforts to put in action items that we are trying to implement, and a lot of the implementation of these action items are contingent about getting that CAD RMS system up and running. And so what we're going to see in the next 6 to 12 months after we have implementation or the launch of the CAD RMS system is really, we're going to be able to start capturing data, which will be very valuable in terms of extracting that data and then making that data available to the public and for our own review and analysis. So does anyone else have anything to add? And then, Deputy Chief, you want to talk a little bit about body-worn cameras, or Chief? Do either of you want to talk a little bit about timing for body-worn cameras?
So we're in the process of obtaining the body-worn cameras. We've signed a contract with the body-worn cameras and the new tasers. So once the equipment starts coming in, Axon will be coming to the PD to train some of our staff, to get them up to be trainers to train the additional staff. We'll probably, our plan is to roll out the tasers probably towards the fall, beginning of the year. And once we have them, then everybody's trained on them, we'll be moving to the body cams and hope to be probably rolling those out in the spring.
Really, I think it's a lot of great technology that the police department can utilize to be most effective in doing the everyday jobs.
Yeah, I think it's a statement that the Portsmouth Police Department is a modern police department. We're not relying on technology that was, that was operational literally back in the 20th century. It's a 21st century modern police department in terms of data collection, in terms of body cams, in terms of all sorts of IT upgrades. So it's a great compliment to the police department for taking the initiative and doing that.
And safety to the community as well as safety to the officers out on the road. And thank you to the City Council for the support from a funding side to help give the police department the tools they need in order to be most effective in their job. Next on the Police Commission agenda is National Night Out. Commissioner Fernald, do you want to talk a little bit about
Sure.
your
I
experience?
hadn't been to National Night Out in quite a few years and had the pleasure of going with Deputy Chief and the Mayor. Getting back to the community policing, I was pleasantly surprised at how many of our officers are Little League coaches or sports coaches or anything. I had no idea. The little kids running up, hey, coach, they're just so excited. And it was refreshing. I was pleasantly surprised by that. So then getting the award that the police department got just is the icing on the cake. So it was a lot of fun, and I talked to a lot of people about a lot of things, and it was a good night. It was fun.
Yeah, it is a great way for the police just to have a social engagement with the community. So it's a nice event across the city as a whole. Does anybody else have anything to add?
I'll just add that, National Night Out is a nationwide recognition. Police departments working with their communities, and all different communities do it different ways. Some places they host it in one location and everybody has to come to them. But Portsmouth, we're always different. We had like 15 different locations across the community. National Night Out has been a huge success for the police department, for the city, and every year more and more neighborhoods want to have their own private party and invite the police. And now with the DPW and the fire department, the city councilors and the city manager joining us, it's become to a huge success. It's outgrown our abilities to be able to cover everything, but we make our best to get to everybody, and every year it's something that our community looks forward to. This year we had a bit of a delay game because on the first day it got rained out, but Sergeant Brian Hood made a decision, and fortunately for him, the second date was a beautiful day, so it all worked out. But overall, again, it's a huge success. Again, it's a collaborative effort between the police department and our community to work together, enjoy being together, and a chance to just continue to build relationships with our department and members of our community.
That's great. And Chief, you're doing such a good job. We're going to turn it over to you with Part B of your agenda. We're up to the crime analyst report at this point.
That's
I have it right here. If you
Go ahead, Mike. Mike handles the statistics.
So yeah, for the first off, the crime analyst report, from comparing 2023 to 2024, right now we're seeing calls for service were down about 10%. This is from January to July 31st of 2023 versus 2024. We are up 8.8% in arrests. We are up 9.8% in DWI arrests. Total police reports taken were down 4.9. Reportable motor vehicle accidents, we're happy to be down 6.9 there. Motor vehicle stops were down 13%, 13.1. Involuntary emergency admissions, which are mental health related calls, we are up 6.25%. Mental health calls overall, we're not taking somebody into custody, but just mental health overall, we're down 21% from 147 to 116. And juvenile matter calls were down from 89 from 112, so still seeing a healthy reduction there, which we're happy to see a continuing trend in that over the last couple commission meetings. So
That's some really great data. I just, do you think, again, the mental health calls, some of this is related to use of the mobile crisis response team? Because
I do
really-
believe so. The mobile crisis response teams, I would say whether we know that they're in the city or we don't know they're in the city are on a weekly basis, whether we're calling them. Of course, we know the instances that we call for their assistance. We don't necessarily know the instances where they respond where we're not involved. But I can tell you the instances of which we are utilizing the services or facilitating the services happens probably on a weekly basis, if not a couple of times a week.
I know there's been some discussion statewide about response time for the mobile crisis units, and perhaps it would do well to increase statewide. It's a statewide program that doesn't cost the police department any money, but whether it might make sense to increase funding to increase the number of mobile crisis units in the various regions around the state.
That may be one way of the state is, but the state's getting them to fund things is very difficult. But another impact of this has been our own social worker with Brooke Murphy that I think has also contributed to the great reduction of those numbers. And I know it's really made a difference in repeat calls that we have because she's been actively involved with several different people that we're routinely dealing with on a regular basis that we no longer have to deal with. So, and they have the services they need so that they're not calling us. So that has been a great addition to the police department.
Chief, I was just going to say that exact same thing, which is like we're seeing that, that down cycle in calls is just having those services so that we're follow through services that the social worker is so critical in helping residents get that, or anybody in the catchment area. So it's really great to see that those numbers reflecting the things that we've tried to do to help from a mental health perspective rather than just having a full police response. The other thing is I think the CAT RMS system is going to be invaluable in terms of actually capturing that data of the reduction in repeat calls. Does anybody?
We'll move to the motor vehicle stats, Deputy.
Yeah, so we have 2 months to report out here, June and July. In June, we had 661 motor vehicle stops, 28 summonses, 46 reportable motor vehicle crashes. In July, 644 motor vehicle stops, 21 summonses, and 51 reportable motor vehicle crashes.
So we're
Financial
trending
report.
consistently.
Yeah, and I would just to speak to the motor vehicle stop number is a little bit down from previous years, and as we've previously said, our staffing levels right now, combined with being down a number of vacant positions, summer being heavy on vacation time, and then you add in military duty, FMLA, paternity, long-term injured. We just for this summer, we haven't had the number of officers on the street as we have had in years past, and that's going to directly reflect in some of our proactive numbers, such as motor vehicle stops. But it's still probably number one, if not close to the number one complaint that we get all the time. So I wouldn't, anybody that pays attention to the number being a bit lower, just please know that it's certainly not for lack of awareness of the issue. It's still a main priority of the patrol division.
I think another factor in that is our calls for service. In the previous crime analyst report, you can see our calls for service are down 10%, but that's not the case for June and July. And moving forward in August, our calls for service have gone up, and then you compound that on what the deputy just said about staffing and personnel, which leads to our officers being tied up on other things and not available to do motor vehicle as effectively as we'd like.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Financial report?
Financials? Okay, in your packet, excuse me, you have two financial reports. One is for the FY24 fiscal year end that ended on June 30th, 2024. In that particular report, it's very preliminary still. There's still some entries and things that the city has to do and process. Currently, we show a $300,000 surplus that will actually go down lower once they process the last set of things that they have to do. The FY25 report that you have shows us tracking 5% below the cap for the period. Good way to start the fiscal year. And good way to be able to accommodate the things during the fiscal year that happen that we have that are unplanned. The strategic plan, still working on that. I'll be meeting with Mike Nicoli, Officer Nicoli, in the next month. He helped design the recruitment website page and the PD advertising billboard that we had up, and he's offered to help kind of revamp our strategic plan a little bit to make it a little more visually improved and more easily readable. In terms of grants, we submitted the body-worn camera grant to the Department of Justice. We requested the maximum of $2,000 per camera, a bundle, because they pay for more than just the camera, which in our quote was actually, there was no cost to the camera, it's all the additional things, and the federal grant covered those items. So we're looking for hopefully $200,000 from them if we get approved, and that's it.
Karen, can you explain just to everyone in the community when it says, that we have $330,000 of surplus? What happens to that money?
Gets returned to the city.
Okay.
For
And
the
so,
undesignated fund balance.
great, thanks. Just to make that clear.
And just so you have an understanding of where that $330,000 came from, it's not that we are over budgeted, but we had a lot of openings that we are working to try to fill that we weren't able to fill, so in return, that money goes back to the city.
Right, and there were unplanned expenses. We have a prosecutor in the court office that had been unbudgeted upstairs and downstairs, so we funded quite a bit of that as an unplanned expense. So even though we have a surplus, it would have been higher if we, didn't have unexpected expenditures.
And these are some of the things that we, the department has worked to remedy for the next fiscal budget. For instance, it was nice to see we have 3 new officer hires, which should reduce overtime, but also is good just in terms of staffing numbers we desperately need. There's been some changes in the court office, we're, looking forward to some of the work that's being done right now, and a lot of good changes made, so. Thank you. Thanks for explaining that. Does anybody have anything else? No? All right. Well, with that pretty much wraps up our meeting for this evening. Let's see. We have some other things in our packet with respect to some office reports. Any other business for anybody? All right. We have our next meeting. It's Tuesday, September 17th at 2024. I do want to say one more time, congratulations to the police department for the Outstanding Community Policing Award. Reminder that next week is back to school week, so everybody on the roads, please be careful for Tuesday is the first day, and be careful because there'll be an onslaught of kids on traveling to school, cars, buses, school buses. Pay attention to school buses, bikes, walkers, you name it. So, and we look forward to everybody tuning in September 17th. Thanks so much. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.